Good morning, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. The commissioner is on the call with the mayor, so he'll be joining us right after. So I actually would like us to kick off this morning with our introductions to kind of celebrate the launch of SYU next month in our city. So introduce yourself and share with us your first summer job, where it was, and the dress code. You know, I love the dress code. So I'm going to go first. My first summer job was actually in an ice cream parlor in a mall in California, and it was a covered wagon. So we had to wear bonnets and like a ruffled, like, can you imagine me? And being in the mall, I think I was seen by every single person in high school. So it's kind of embarrassing, but that was my first job.
Hi everybody, I'm Greg Singleton. Good to see you all after summer. My first summer job, I grew up in Connecticut, so my first summer job was actually working in at 13 years old, we were working in, right, public transportation to work, so, thank you. So I was borrowing my parents' car without license. I was the only paper boy in the neighborhood who was driving and dropping off the Sunday papers. Yeah, so that was my first summer job.
Thanks, Ray. Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Cribbs, and my first summer job was a snack bar attendant. And my favorite day at the pool, and my favorite times were there was those red Swedish fish. It was a penny a fish. So these little kids would come and give me $1 and ask for 100 Swedish fish. And halfway through, they'd try to interrupt me, and I'd have to recount all of them out. They're like, no, I think you missed something. But that was my big first break.
Hey, Andrew Miller. My first job was actually being a busser at a restaurant on Staten Island called Leon Park Inn, and that actually led to me becoming a waiter and a bartender, and as a result of working hard, I actually graduated with no student debt.
Oh,
yeah. So we actually had to wear polo shirts and khaki slacks.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Sudano. My first summer job was at the Ground Round. Those of you who are old enough to remember. And I was so terrible that they made me become Bingo the Clown, because Bingo was on salary.
Hi everyone, Michelle Rosa. I work at the Mayor's Office of Talent and Workforce Development. My first summer job was at Woolworth as a cashier. Yes, and you could wear sneakers and jeans. It was fun. And my boss at the time, it was a big space. He would put music from different countries in each corner because we had such a diverse community in Sunnyside, Queens, where I grew up. He just wanted to make sure people felt comfortable. So it was like a nice work environment.
Hi, my name is Chris Bastardi. My first summer job was at the local pharmacy that did everything from photocopies to notaries to prescriptions to, retail.
Good morning, everyone. Gregory Hambrick. My first summer job was McDonald's. 15 years old. My older cousins at the time owned 2 Wendy's franchises, and I wanted to work, and they had contacts and got me the job. It wasn't supposed to start until 16, but they got me in at 15, so I might have flipped some burgers for some of you in here. And she mentioned Woolworth. I'm dating myself, but I remember the cafeterias in Woolworths had the best burgers. Anybody remember that?
Hi, good morning. My name is Reggie Gibson. I'm with DYCD. I'm an NAV liaison. And my first summer job was actually in a diner in my neighborhood. I grew up in Queens Village. So it was a diner I went to every morning for my mom to get her coffee and stuff. And I guess I made a good impression on the owner because I had a little job working there. And I remember 2 things. He had video arcade games. I'm dating myself too. So he had Miss Pac-Man and stuff. And the other thing was they had a filter, but I reeked of the diner. So I remember coming home every day. My mother's like, put those clothes out on the line. Don't bring them to my house. You smell like this. I love the food, but I hate the smell.
Hi, my name is Damario Ramos. I'm here from DYCD. My first job was a counselor at a summer camp. I was raised in Puerto Rico, so it was a church camp. And I was the designated clown. So it was pretty fun. So
I'm seeing a lot of themes here. I'm Sarah Marks. I'm the Director of Intergovernmental Affairs at UICD. I was a summer camp person. Like, I went to sleepaway camp every summer, starting in elementary school. And so there was my first job was the year that I was too old to be a camper and too young to be a counselor. So they assigned me to work in the canteen, which was basically like selling candy bars for like 25 cents, and then all of us like eating them when there was no one there. And like my skill from that though is we also made milkshakes, and like that really served me well in like the later years that I had the ability to make them at home because I knew the tricks that way. And then I went back as a counselor for about 3 more years.
Junior mints, right, Sarah? Junior mints. I'm Nancy Waxstein. I think my first summer job was as a cashier at Dan's Supreme Supermarket in Queens, which is where I grew up. I was very, very good at that job.
Good morning. Hi, my name's Lucy Friedman, and I think besides babysitting, my first summer job was I grew up on Long Island, and I was in New York City at a publishing company, and I was a receptionist. And it was an English company. Nobody understood me. Not great being, and in those days, the telephone, handled the telephone. And dress code, I'm sure I never wore pants. I mean, I can't remember, but I'm sure at that age and that time. But for me, commuting into the city was very exciting. That was the part of the job I loved most.
Oh, hi everyone, Saeed Bilal. My first summer job was internship with State Senator Leroy Comrie. So very exciting opportunity. I just graduated from graduate school and I just entered to the internship, and I said I'd like to be work in government at some point in the future. What we did is I was tabulating Excel spreadsheets in regards to voter records, especially listed constituents, attending events. Also, I was able to be a guest speaker at some of their events, so that was exciting.
Great, thank you all so much. Let's get started, and we're going to first approve the minutes from our last meeting. So everyone should have received that in their email and reviewed it. So can I get a motion to approve? Thank you. Second? Thank you. All right, so minutes have been approved from last meeting. So I want to thank everyone for kind of stepping up and committing themselves to certain activities beyond our meetings. And we are now looking into a few of you presenting your expert kind of fields with UICD, as well as offering space for our board meetings and activities for youth. So thank you all so much for committing further. And today we will be talking or hearing from the youth engagement officer, Ebube, but he's running a little bit late, and Eduardo will be filling in a little bit. We will also hear about the committee and their work today. I'll be sharing that with you. And then we're going to hear from the commissioner with the updates. And then we have a special ceremony at the end. So would you like to get started?
Thank you, Jackie. Primarily Ebube. Many of you know him from the Youth Agenda. He's been very active with the YCD town halls, and he's a member of the New York City Youth Board. And he recently was named Youth Engagement Officer, which is a wonderful opportunity because he is a young person himself. He just recently graduated from New York University, and he looks forward to taking the next steps in his career. At this juncture, he's been working with Chair Jackie, myself, and other committee members to develop content to reach out to young people and introduce them to civic engagement opportunities. Now, as we know, reaching out to young people is a skill in and by itself. So we thought best, of course, a young person to be able to do that. Saif also joined us at our last meeting, and we're trying to approach this on two-pronged approach. First and foremost, where are young people today? They're on social media. We know this. So Ebube is in the process of working with our communications team to produce a public service announcement video. We've developed a script, and we're sort of playing with that. We're scheduled to shoot that this month coming up, July 15th. And we're very excited because DYCD has a couple of social media posting. Oh, there's my friend right there. Ibube, I was just talking about the video that we're planning to shoot now in July. So without further ado, Ibube, please talk to them about the wonderful work that we're doing. Thank you.
Everyone, good morning. Right. I'm sorry. My name is Ibube Wemme. I'm the Youth Engagement Officer here at the on the Youth Board. Thank you, Eduardo, for that. Just over this past few weeks, and months, we've been planning to shoot some kind of PSA for youths in New York City to just kind of give them some kind of encouragement when it comes to civic engagement and just things going on in their societies. And then we also plan to put out a written, some kind of written script or document so that they could also get this information. Some of the things that we plan to talk about include the youth agenda, which is something I'm working on. It contains, I keep saying, I'm sorry. It contains some of the things that are concerned with youth in society, which include gun violence, economic mobility, mental health, which is a big one that youth have been talking about for the past few weeks, educational equity. So stuff like this I'm going to be talking about. And then in the PSA, it's just like something quick. Social media is a huge tool to drive young people in any area and to also promote civic engagement. So when we put out that PSA, we are hoping it would also make youth feel that they see a young person doing something, they could feel part of something. So we hope that goes well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. And also, I just realized I left out our guest speaker today, Andrew, who will be talking about and sharing with us what's going on with the city council appointments to the board. So Ibube, actually, I was one thing, because I was at the Youth Agenda Conference, one thing that I kind of was surprised by and was not expecting was the emphasis around housing and also around sexual education, which a lot was presented that it was now really missing in our schools, even though it's mandated. So I wanted to kind of like get that out there. I think that is a really interesting issue for our youth today, and they're obviously, because so much of the discussion around gender and sex has changed in our city and around the world, actually. All right, so thank you so much for sharing that. And that was a really great conference, by the way. It was so interesting. It's the youth agenda, and it's like 55 young people who. Can you explain that a little bit?
So a few in May we had the Youth Agenda Coalition. We had a policy party. We try to call it a policy party because we involve young people, and whenever we talk about anything policy or politics, it's always like we are trying to point fingers at politicians instead of, so we call it a policy party so it could be like more engaging and kind of like a sideshow so they could come. But then it was, so we have a group of 5 nonprofits together. So my Brother Sister Keepers Youth Council, we have ONS, the Office of Neighborhood Safety. We have CCC, Citizens Committee for Children. We have YVOTE. And then we have ICI, which is Intergenerational Change Initiative. And then we also, MBSK is sponsored by DYCD, so we have ties to DYCD as well. And the CUNY School of Professional Studies. So we all just came together. We've been together for the past few years in order to present the youth agenda. So whenever after every year, we always do some kind of policy party. So we present the youth agenda to the public. And just like Jackie was saying, like housing security and also and sexual health was big in this year when it comes to like mental health, and we've also seen the huge advancements in conversations surrounding housing in society. So you definitely want to be part of that conversation. Actually, one of the points that we actually brought up was you want their own kind of housing, the same way New York City has housing for some of the senior citizens and elderly folks. Youth want that kind of housing because expecting a young person to pay or to present a kind of pay stub that someone with over 20 years of experience has is it's just not feasible. So having that kind of security blanket for them where they have their own housing with more flexible rules and less strict, rules about it, is something that we're really pushing for this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. All right, so next item on our agenda is kind of an update around our committee meetings. So since we've launched our committees earlier this year, the committees have met with various DYCD programs to kind of appreciate what's the services that have been offered and to get a better understanding from different units of DYCD. Our Youth Workforce Development Committee is examining how programs can further prepare young people for sustaining employment and looking at identifying career opportunities and employment trends. So we've met with the Director of Interagency Coordination regarding the coordinated efforts between DYCD programs and initiatives to support youth readiness. We also met with the Deputy Commissioner of Workforce Development regarding SYEP, Ladders for Leaders, and Intern and Earn programs. And the committee will be meeting with the Advance and Earn unit who are providing work opportunities for future leaders who are currently not in school or training or employment, ages between 18 and 24, is that correct? And our second committee, the Youth Provider Community Coalition Committee, we're looking at areas where community-based organizations might need more support, such as identifying additional funding streams, leveraging community partnerships, and other technical and capacity building support that they might need. So far, we've met with the DYCD Budget and Finance Unit regarding how community providers are accessing funding and the payment process. We are going to be meeting with the PPI unit to review how youth service RFPs, requests for proposals, are developed and administered. That is coming up. Now, all our community meetings have generated really thoughtful and informed conversations, and we look forward to sharing our findings at our next meeting for a broader discussion, and then we'll be finalizing a report to present to the commissioner later on this year. So, are there any questions? We have lots of community members here. All right, great. Andrew, what would you like? Okay, great. So, would anyone actually like to share what we've been doing on the committees and your experience so far while we're waiting?
Yeah, so we were like part of my discussion with the committees is like we want to also represent our youths with disabilities. I think this is pretty important, like how youths navigate the accommodation process. So, at some point in the future, we were thinking like some point partnering with the mayor's office with people with disabilities because sometimes, our young people with disabilities are overlooked. So it's important that they're part of the conversation. So, in the working process as we're meeting, we'll try to make sure that youth with disabilities are included in the conversation because employment for them is also important because it's very important to transition to the workforce. I think in disability communities, the conversation is being independent. And I think, getting a job is a way to be financially independent and work in your feet.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, part of our discussion has been around equity and looking at how we're really areas in which we can find. I know government, and I think we all know this. That government is complicated, but I think we all feel that it's so important to be informed, and then to be able to at least start conversations about challenges that we might be having around equity and sustainability. So, Andrew, you're now off the phone.
Thank you. Good to see everybody. Good morning. I'm pleased to announce, consistent with Commissioner Howard's vision about One DYCD, he actually took the Intergovernmental Affairs Unit and merged it with the Neighborhood Advisory Boards. And this is really a way for us to embed ourselves and to use the resources that we have, the relationships that we have with elected officials. For example, today, Damari and I are going to be very busy. Right after this, we actually have a city council here we're attending. Then we're going to travel out to Brooklyn, meet with Councilmember Banks and discuss the Office of Neighborhood Safety. And then, this is a great issue that Damari brought up. There's issues at the Borough Houses with young people experiencing mental health issues. So we're actually bringing the health and hospitals there and also the Mayor's Office of Mental Health. So it's really a great way to align it. But we know that a big concern that the Youth Board had was filling the City Council vacancies on this. So we are actually using Sarah and I's relationship with the council. And to date now, we've actually gotten 4 candidates that we are screening. And we're going to continue to do that work to build the board.
And it's 12 positions? How many positions are on city council appointees?
12, yes.
12, yeah. It's a lot.
Well, we're getting there. And we have a great relationship with Althea Stevens and the Speaker's Office. And I think we'll get there.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah. They're all
So I'm hoping at the next youth board meeting, we'll have a couple more folks here. Yes.
Those people still, if they pass the first screen, are they still in the government?
You mean for the council appointments? Obviously, it's up to the council to decide, but we would pass along any recommendations that the board has to the city council for their consideration. Particularly, it's great to see young people engaged in this youth board and continue that effort. Yes.
Actually, say you just had a question, and I think Marla, you can answer it.
What's the minimum age to be appointed? Well, in terms of the board that we're promoting 16.
So the minimum age is 16. Yes.
Okay. So my question.
And we're actually doing that with the neighborhood advisory boards as well. We're very pleased. We just got a $30,000 grant for the next fiscal year through NYC Service to encourage young people to go on the NABs, and maybe we could merge those efforts to include the youth board as well.
As they went out to colleges or high schools or
Eduardo, maybe you want to hop on that because you've been doing a great job. Here.
opportunities for this particular board. We had a social media campaign last summer that specifically touted at all Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, primarily in terms of filling vacancies on this particular board, outreach was specifically targeted toward a demographic of 18 to 24 and above, of course. And the reality of that is that we had a lot of robust interest through social media, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And through that process, a minimum of 20 individuals stepped forward, specifically in the younger demographic that you're asking about.
Great, thank you so much, Andrew. Well, we're just cruising along our way.
Unfortunately, the commissioner had an emergency going to City Hall, so we're going to actually present the awards.
Oh, we're just gonna do that. So make sure that you review all the press clippings and the report that the commissioner was going to see. And I want to say the meeting, SYED this year is huge. It's huge. And yeah, can you talk a little bit about yeah, because that was so interesting about what you're doing with fostering individuals.
Sure. So I'm Ray Singleton again. I work at ACS, but we have a very strong partnership with DYCD for enrollment to SYEP. So although there are 100,000 slots citywide for SYEP and then another over 100,000 slots for Summer Rising for middle school students, ACS and a few other agencies work in the special populations area for the Emerging Leaders Program, which is 3,000 slots over the summer. ACS has allocated 1,000 slots, and so far we filled about 1,037. We have about 1,300 applications in, and we're still working to get that. About 173 young people who are still pending into the program. But at ACS, we create work sites, which is what we had talked about before, so we can host young folks in child welfare or juvenile justice or in a preventive space so they can work directly with our team. We also host a college internship component to that program. So now we have about 40 college students who started interning with us outside of SYEP. And then next week or 2 weeks from now, when SYEP starts, we'll be hosting the SYEP students that come in at ACS. So they'll have a work site that works directly with either somebody at my level or a program lead that will give them work assignments directly related to ACS and the work that we do. So we have a bunch of work, which we have some of the detention centers, juvenile justice. We also have childcare that we provide throughout the city for slots. And then we have preventive space and protective services. And so the young people with child welfare experience get to work in those areas. And at the end of the course of the internship, we ask them to produce a PowerPoint. And in that PowerPoint, they talk about what they learned, the assignments they've accomplished, and then their recommendations to improve the process, which they tear us up on. So it's a good opportunity for us to get youth voice involved in our work at every level. And so it's productive in a few different ways. But I got to say, the one thing that's really inspiring is that we have the young folks working with us. They have a very different workforce than your average city worker. So they come in beaming. They never stop coming into the office. They're like, Reds want to make sure I can put a period into the sentence right here. Is that right? And I'm like, yes, that's right. Then they come back and they're like, I just want to capitalize the T and the in the beginning of that sentence. Is that right? So they look for affirmation on every work assignment. And you can see that they're like, please give us more. The reason why I mention that is because the amount of confidence that I think young people get from being in these internships over the summer is invaluable. Right, and they carry that forward into the next. I mean, it's like the unspoken work that you do that you really can't measure, except for when the young people talk 2 years later during the master's program. We were at New Yorkers for Children, and they were acknowledging students that graduated from school. And this young woman was talking to our commissioner, Jess Danhauser, and then she saw me. I didn't really remember her, but she was like, Ray. She looked at the commissioner and said, I apologize. I just got to recognize Ray. And then she hugged me, and I'm like, who's this kid, right? And she said, so Jess said, well, what did Ray do, right? That was so fast. He wrote me a letter of recommendation. I didn't write it, but somebody on my staff did. A letter of recommendation. We helped her get into 2 or 3 internships. Now she's in a master's program. And she had some justice issue that we wrote a letter for and said, no, she was going to be great in this master's program. But it meant the world to her, right? These experiences all along the way led to her getting to an advanced degree program that we just supported her on regular work that we do, right? Writing letters of recommendation. So this is all the stuff that we do that's a part of the work that if you get into the routine of it, you don't really pay attention to it. But you really never stop to recognize the kind of investment that you're making in young people and developing their confidence and then helping them through their journey to get to the next step. So we do a lot of, infrastructure building with DYCD. And then we try to offer this non-cliff approach so that there's a continuum. So after the internship and throughout the internship, we're partnering with CUNY. We make sure that we offer professional development opportunities so young people can go through, like Kingsborough Community College is offering computer, IT support certifications, project management certifications. So we give that out to all the interns so that they have some professional development accomplishments during the internship, and then we try to connect them immediately to either private sector jobs after the summer internship or a continuum where they continue to do vocational training. So we just connected with new non-traditional employment for women, and we're talking about opportunities for these interns to help them go into the vocational trades, right? So we try to build all of that in so that there's this continuum offering if kids aren't going back to school, college, or high school. Sure.
This is a question and a comment. I love the idea of the PowerPoint, that they do that. Do they present it to you? And I was just wondering if there might be an opportunity for them to present it to the board or for us to come, because I think, half of building confidence is just, presenting to people you don't know and seeing in their faces the support that they give and them getting exposure. So would love to maybe see if we could do that.
So we would love to have you all participate in that. We do it at the end of the year, so August 16th, we have all of the young folks come, they do their presentation, they present to the commissioner, they present to the executive team, anybody who's willing to show up. We actually invite a guest speaker to come. One year we had Sean Dove come, we had a couple other folks who we thought would really make an impact on young folks, so we actually would love to either have them present or for you all to join us at the closing ceremonies and just hear their presentations.
That's great.
So
Thank you so
we're
much.
actually going to be talking about some of these at the city council hearing, which is happening at 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the city council today is holding. The city council today is holding a hearing on. I think their title is the Youth Decarceration Plan, and their interest there is really with ACS and the Department of Probation, talking about ways that administration is working on trying to reduce the number of young people who are in detention or incarceration. And DYCD was invited to participate, which I think is like a recognition of the fact that there's a greater understanding that the work that we do here is often, in some cases, a preventive service, and in other cases, it's working with young people who are already involved in the justice system or some way. So our team from the Office of Neighborhood Safety is going to be speaking today. ACS and Department of Probation are offering the main testimony, but one of the things that we hope in other question and answers is to highlight the partnerships that we have with other agencies, the work that we're doing with ACS, the work that we're doing with the Department of Probation, and really showing we do have a lot of specialized areas within SYEP that are working with young people at risk of, in communities with high rates of gun violence, which is one, and then there are other ones, that Ray just talked about as well, like the ones that are specifically with ACS. But our Office of Neighborhood Safety is also working on sort of on a slightly separate track, but all of it is part of SYEP. So I think you'll still be here, but if you're interested in watching the live stream later, you can, the tape on the council website, you may hear a little bit more about the preventive work that's happening at DYCD.
And in terms of SYEP, I want to give a little bit of good news. I think so. As you know, it's mostly city tax levy funded. We do get a small proportion of it from TANF, but this year we're actually pleased to announce that we just got an award letter for $2 million more.
Yes.
And we will be adding SYEP slots this summer.
From the state.
The state.
Yeah.
From the state.
It's TANF money that flows to the state that comes to us. So we were very happy to receive that commissioner's letter.
How many more slots?
I believe about 2,000.
So that goes up to what total?
102,000. Counting all the other, we have 5,000 slots that are through other agencies, DOP and stuff. So 100, we expect about 102,000. So that's a record.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I mean, one thing about doing the subcommittee meetings is just hearing about the extraordinary work that's being done, and also really thinking outside of the box about how departments can work together or different agencies, and it's really definitely happening, I think, under this administration, from other administrations that I've been experienced with. So I'm really encouraged by that. I just wanted to share that with everyone. The other thing is, I every time I think about SYEP and having ran programs with young people, the summer youth employment is such an important role in our city environment. And I think we really need to kind of acknowledge that and see how important it is that exists in New York City. And it's huge. And it's really about how we all benefit from seeing young people have jobs in the summer, working, being productive, and I think we should try to get that out more about that role of summer youth employment in our city and how we all experience our city. So I'm going to kind of close that, and we have, yeah, sure.
So I also just wanted to mention that the mayor's office is working on an anti-gun prevention task force, and so SYP is a very big part of that too. So I just wanted to, sort of enhance what you said and emphasize the fact that the mayor's office is saying, like, if young folks are engaged in these kind of activities for the summer, you think 100,000 young people are engaged in SYP, so they're doing work instead of being left alone, right, on the streets and getting to other kind of activities. It's a very big alternative. Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for all you do with SYP. I think also like looking back on some of the work that the Youth Agenda does, and being being a young person who's worked in SYP as well. I remember the first year we started, which was about like 4 years ago, but then in our third year we were saying, SYP was around like 75,000 young people, and then even just last summer, because I was talking about it in my presentation this year, DYCD broke a record of, and then New York City hiring over 100,000 young people into summer youth employment opportunities, and then I'm in this meeting and I'm hearing another record being broken with 102,000 young people, and so like the goal is to get to a summer where every young person who wants a job in New York City can get a job in New York City. So it's not just, you get a job, but you don't get a job. But like, if you want a job, you can get a job to keep you safe, to make you some money, and to develop yourself in society. So it's better for everyone.
Thank you for that. All right, I'm going to pass it.
Yeah, thank you. And I can certainly echo the sentiments about SYP. I'm a former SYP participant myself, and when I participated, I think the number was 35,000. So we show you that growth. Oh, okay, there you go. So the growth is up, and hopefully the trend will continue. At this point, this is our last meeting for the current fiscal year. Of course, our first meeting for the new fiscal year will be in September. So as a result, today we want to take the opportunity to recognize some outstanding members of our board who have contributed not only this year but historically and currently, and we're just blessed to have them in the room today. So Mr. Miller, would you like to join us to please recognize some of our members, in starting with
Elizabeth Cribbs?
Yes.
So this is actually a letter from the mayor of New York City. Dear Ms. Cribbs, on behalf of the City of New York, I want to thank you for your service as acting chair, right, of the New York City Youth Board. I commend you for your dedication and the benefit you have brought to the city as you conclude your tenure as chair. Your leadership advanced the mission of the Youth Board and has a profound positive impact on the youth of New York City. I thank you for your continued service as a member of the board and for your ongoing commitment to civic service.
Yeah, I'm going to say a few words. So much for you to hold. Liz, I want to thank you for keeping the sales up on our DYCD Youth Board ship and navigating us through some really rough waters during COVID. So cheers.
I'll just say, it's been an honor to serve both as acting chair, vice chair, and it's a wonderful group, and an honor to serve under our mayor that cares so much about the city and our commissioner. So thank you. I look forward to continuing. Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie. There's some additional swag for you here as well, so please take that. At this juncture, we'd like to call Nancy Waxstein up. Nancy, we want to thank you for all your years of service. Nancy joined the board in 2003, which is a very long time ago, and we're honored and blessed to have her. And I want to thank her for mentoring not only young people at various institutions, but here personally at DYCD with myself and Anthony Eng. She's mentored us, she's provided guidance, and promoted the concept of internship integration in government. So we thank you, Nancy, for that. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Mr. Miller.
I am so honored to present Nancy Waxstein with this plaque. She's really meant a tremendous amount to this agency. I've seen her on the steps of City Hall and advocating for SYP, advocating for back then OST, advocating for our Cornerstone program. Across the board, she has been there for this agency. She's been a fierce advocate through how many mayors?
3. I think I started. I was appointed by Bloomberg. I think when Jeannie Mulgrave was the commissioner. I think that's right. Yeah. So I think Keith is my 3rd commissioner. Yeah, Jeannie and Bill, and then Keith, and yeah, it's a long time.
And so today we're hoping for a budget handshake.
Oh.
I'm hearing it's coming. I'm not quite so sure. We're busy with the council hearing. But really, when you think about the growth of DYCD, when Commissioner Mulgrave started, DYCD's budget was about $165 million. Now, we're up to $1.4 billion. And actually, I want to call up Anthony Ames. He's a mentee of Nancy. Come on up, Anthony, our Deputy Chief of Staff. So actually, I'm going to ask Anthony to actually present this now.
One of my claims to fame is that I hired Anthony when I was the head of United Neighborhood Houses. Gray hair.
Well, first off, good to see everyone. A lot of familiar faces here, and good to be with you today. And I know that today, when Eduardo and Andrew told me that we were acknowledging Liz, good to see you for all your years of service. And Nancy, I didn't want to miss this. I wanted to be here. So, Nancy, yes, definitely. When Nancy hired me at United Neighborhood Houses, it was a moment in my life where my personal professional journey where I wanted to do more advocacy and learn about government more. And I definitely learned about that working with Nancy at United Neighborhood Houses. And it's in those years that I learned about DYCD and all that DYCD does to fund community-based organizations across the city, because that was a big interest of mine, having just graduated from graduate school a few years earlier. What's the role of community-based organizations to strengthen their neighborhoods? And working at UNH and getting introduced to all the settlement houses and all the great work that they do, the members who were around for up to a century, to the newer members who are community development corporations, was it warmed my heart. It filled my heart to know that there are organizations like this in the city, and to fight on their behalf for funding. And that's how I got to know a lot of the folks here at DYCD who are my colleagues. That's how I got to know how government works, the budget cycle, the legislative process, it's all because of Nancy. She took a gamble on me. and Nancy was a great boss, very supportive all those years. For me at that age, also demonstrated what it meant to have a workplace that had work-life balance. I'm actually doing a little better these days. Yeah. So, I guess on behalf of DYCD, Nancy, in grateful appreciation of your years of outstanding dedication and service as a member of the New York City Youth Board, presented to you from Commissioner Keith Howard, 2024.
I just want to say a couple of things. Anthony and Andrew, Andrew was on the other side of our advocacy for many years. That advocacy is really important. You can have a lot of conferences and a lot of workshops, but unless you translate them into sort of action steps, which sometimes can take years. We started, Lucy, you remember we started the campaign for summer jobs. Anthony was the coordinator of, decades ago really, the campaign for children to fight for after-school funding. These, unfortunately, Lucy and I, when we first met, we talked about a vision of universal after-school for every kid, family that needs it. And I would say the same should be our goal for SY, for summer youth employment, universal for every kid who wants a job. So I would just say to the youth board, when there are budget cuts, fight them. Funding, Anthony didn't, his first thing to probably learn at UNH, follow the money. understand budgeting, understand how money is being spent and how money is being allocated, and that's where the policy priorities really come out. Rhetoric is easy. Funding is where the real priorities get set. So, youth board members, don't be shy. I mean, you're mayoral appointees, but still, you can say to the mayoral administration, you can say to the commissioner, we think money should be going here, we think funding should be going there. So don't shy away from your advocacy. It's the only thing that gets done. And the other observation I have is that it takes a long time. When after I left United Neighborhood Houses, I worked at Fordham for a few years, and I would tell the students there that these advocacy campaigns take years. You cannot expect overnight success. You have to keep on it through coalition work. Coalition work is one of the key ways of getting anything done in this city. So stay with it. Keep on. I've retired from paid work, and I'll be spending more time out of the city, which is why I'm leaving the youth board. But my heart is with you, and let me know when those new members get appointed. Government works slowly. But it only works if you push. I can tell you that after many decades of doing this work. Keep pushing. Keep watching. Keep monitoring that budget. Thank you, Jackie, Liz, for your leadership. Alexa, look, you see, you can go on to be a council member, so keep on, especially Thank you. I said to Lucy I was planning to stop at Fairway on my way home, so now I'm going to have to bring this plaque to Fairway to do my food shopping.
You need a tote. Yes.
Oh God.
I know. Well, today you do actually need that.
So I said to him, having spent a large portion of my career in nonprofit, how many tote bags do you think I have? Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I can buy groceries. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was thinking how I joined the board in, I think, 2017 under de Blasio.
Yeah.
And all the years that I've spent on the board with you, you've been really inspiring in terms of your response to the ever-changing conditions in our city for youth and families. And I want to thank you and your legacy. Thank you.
Ask questions. That's the other.
That's
my
all.
third thing.
Yes. Ask questions. All right. So meeting is adjourned. So we look forward to seeing everyone in September, and we will be presenting our findings from our subcommittee and sharing it for greater discussion. So have a great summer, everyone.
Well, I